Howdy, this is Lemmy with RevZilla TV, here to talk to you today about the Arlen Ness line of grips for Harley and metric cruiser. You should be checking out an Arlen Ness grip if you're looking to bring a little bit of substance and a whole bunch of style to your bike, really change up the look of your bars. These things are made primarily for Harley. Just about every Harley 82 and up is going to have an application. If you've got a dual pole throttle, these things should be set to roll for your motorcycle. However, in the soft touch line, as you can see over here to my right, your left, there are a couple special treats for those of you guys riding metric cruisers. So Arlen Ness does manage to cover a pretty wide variety of bikes. Installation on these is pretty simple. You're looking at 1 out of 3 beards on our 3-beard difficulty scale. Most of you should be able to get this done in the garage fairly quickly with basic hand tools. So let's get right into the line and sort of check out what it is that you should be looking for when you're selecting a grip. I know when I look at the Arlen Ness line of grips, even I'm a little bit overwhelmed and I'm pretty familiar with it. There's a wide variety of grips that they make, and there's just really, you're gonna have a hard time choosing what grip to get if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. So when I'm considering a set of grips for one of my bikes, I like to assess things sort of on 3 separate scales: isolation, traction, and also aesthetics. And as you can see here, we have sort of a realm of grips in front of us, and we're gonna work through sort of this gamut. I think really, realistically speaking, you sort of have isolation on one end, aesthetics on the other. The two never really meet, so there's always a spectrum, and we're gonna kind of work our way through that. So over here on my right, you can see a set of soft touch deep cuts, as well as a set of soft touch engraved grips. So these grips specifically, the soft touch deep cut, you can see they have this real heavy rubber in here. These are gonna be great at isolation. Now when I say isolation, most of you who are riding around on a Harley know that your engine is rubber mounted if you've got a late model bike. And effectively, Arlen Ness uses that same isolating technology that your rubber mounts use in your engine to isolate your hands from vibration and road shock. What it winds up doing is keeping your hand separate from all the vibrations coming through the frame, the bars, and the front end of your motorcycle. So anytime you see something super thick with a lot of rubber in it, like the soft touch deep cut, you know that you're going to be getting a grip that is going to keep your hand super duper comfortable. Now sliding down the line in the soft touch engraved, you can see that there's not quite as thick a rubber on here. However, you'll notice this stippled pattern on here. This is going to help with traction, like I talked about earlier. So something like this is going to be a nice blend of traction, but also you're going to get some isolation from the grip as well. Now all of these grips you're seeing are made here in the US. They're machined from aluminum. They're really fantastically well-built grips. And because there's so many styles, you're really gonna be able to dial in exactly what it is that you like about that. Now moving back to the traction end of things, you can see here, this is probably the penultimate traction grip. This is the Fusion Beveled grip that Arlen Ness offers, and you can see here this checkered surface on here. Now that checkering is going to be really great. If you're somebody who rides without gloves, if your hands get sweaty, this is going to keep your hands from flying off of the grips. It's going to help you bite in and really maintain a good grab on your grips. If you're somebody who rides with gloves or without gloves, but you ride in the rain, this is also going to keep your hand from slipping off. Much like foot pegs will use a lot of rubber on there in order to keep your feet planted, you can also use a sort of a textured grip that is going to help lock your hand in and keep you from sliding off the bars. So if you do a lot of wet weather riding, something like the Fusion Beveled with a lot of traction is going to be something you want to look at. Now sliding further down the line, sort of into the aesthetic end of things, you've got the Ness Tech. This is sort of, again, a nice blend of traction heading into aesthetics. Grips that are aesthetically pleasing typically tend to have little or no rubber on them. The rubber is not the most attractive part of the grip. If you see a really cool set of grips, they're almost always going to be something that has very little rubber in them. The Ness Tech grip sort of offers a little bit of the best of both. There's plenty of chrome, plenty of steel on here. However, this rubber is super soft, and it is going to allow you to sort of lock in and grab onto that throttle. It's not going to be world's best grip for isolating from road shock, and it's not going to be world's best grip for keeping your hand planted, but it's going to offer a nice balance of keeping your hand locked in on the throttle, but also looking kind of cool when the bike is parked. Which brings us to the final grip you can see over here, the Ness Tech Deep Cut grip. This grip does not contain any external rubber on this. As such, this grip is going to let some vibration and shock come through. However, you pay that price because you have a super cool looking grip. As you can see here, these super open areas of the grip let you see right down into the throttle sleeve. This contrast cut area they have here where they've machined back out some aluminum really pops. I mean, I think it's one of the first things people will see when they look at the bars in your bike. However, the price you pay for that, as we said, is not so great in the traction world and definitely not much in the way of isolation from road shocks and bumps. The final thing I would like to mention about Arlen Ness grips. They offer this really cool bearing on some of their grips. I like this. So you have a nylon bushing and then also this roller bearing. And what happens with this is it installs into the end of the grip like so. And what it does is it prevents the far end of the grip really from dragging on the bars or the throttle sleeve. It isolates it and actually runs the whole thing on a bearing. So you have your entire throttle sleeve acting as a bushing, and then at the very end you have this bearing sort of supporting the outboard end of the grip. It turns a set of high dollar, premium grips really into the ultimate, the Cadillac experience as far as grips are concerned. It really does make the throttle roll smoothly. You don't experience stiction, which is sort of that sticky friction you get when you have a poorly fitting grip and bar combination. So installation-wise, we had chatted about these not being particularly difficult, and they're not. Most of you should be able to knock these out. 1 beard on our 3-beard scale of difficulty. If you do elect to use a grip that does have the roller bearing, it can up the installation install by just a little bit. It's not terribly difficult. Check out all of our listings and we will indicate which of those grips do or do not have the roller bearing available with them. If you're interested in it or you're interested in having an easier install, skip it. That having been said, some of you are going to be able to get away with installing these grips without doing a throttle cable adjustment. You may be able to sneak the bars over in the triple trees or remove the triple clamp and get them out so you can just sort of swap grips out real quickly. For those of you who can't, maybe you guys who are riding touring where your triple trees are pretty well covered and buried, you may have to either attack a throttle cable readjustment or you may have to sort of roll your bars. You may have to work a little bit in order to install this without performing any additional surgery on the bike. Those of you guys too with fly-by-wire bikes, Arlen Ness has got you covered. If you're riding a fly-by-wire touring bike, there is a grip option available for you. You will have to be slightly more careful than your cable counterparts because those electronics are a little bit delicate. However, it's not something any of you should be scared off by. If you've never done a set, it can't hurt to have a buddy nearby who knows what they're doing, but the installation's really not terribly difficult on a set of grips. It's one of the first things a lot of riders wind up changing. I think Arlen Ness offers some really great looking grips, and the addition of that roller bearing really makes this a super high-end experience. The throttle feels so nice after installing one of those bearings. It's something that really brings a smile to your face every time you wind up twisting the wick on your motorcycle. My opinion, though, is not the only opinion in town. Click below, check out some rider reviews from some people who are already rocking a set of these in their bike and see what they have to say about them. If you've got some questions that I haven't covered for you, feel free to give us a yell. See us at RevZilla.com, or you can always get a Gear Geek live on the horn, 877-792-9455. I'm Lemmy, I'm out of here.